Tonight, the Ejapa royalties deal is back with a new board inaugurated to push the deal over the line with a promise to get Ejapa ready to invest beyond Ghana.
I'm unequivocal that it is the way to go in terms of monetizing our minerals and finding a way to leverage it.
There's a lot of noise without really getting into the substance of the transaction. Ejapa is not going to have any impact on our debt situation.
We have the latest as the Attorney General okays the reviewed Ejapa deal.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can. Now, it has been a major subject of controversy, the Ejapa royalties deal that will see Ghana's minerals leveraged by the state for upfront cash. The deal, although passed by Parliament, was abandoned by government following a corruption risk assessment by the former special prosecutor, Martin Amido. Well, tonight, the Ejapa royalties deal is back on the government agenda. A new board of the Mineral Income Investment Fund has just been inaugurated by the finance minister, tasked with the sole objective of getting the deal over the line and operational. The finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, says the Attorney General has already reviewed a restructured deal and some consultations have already been done. Listen.
Truly, have we used those resources to the level that other countries have been able to do? So I think it's reimagining a future in which the prominence that gold has to be is maintained. There's no reason why we don't have an LBMC level refinery in the country. There's no reason why we don't have much more gold reserves. There's no reason why we don't have wealthy men and women who are miners in exploration. So the charge really now is to appreciate the level in which it can help with our infrastructure development, of our transformation, and truly get the best of it. You know, our president has always talked about moving away from the gadgets-based economy into value add. So let's understand what the value add for gold is and other minerals, and ensure that this new board, is up to the task for that. I think that the Attorney General has looked at it. We have had a few stakeholder meetings. I think the new board should be energized to review that and then go through the parliamentary process. I'm unequivocal that it is the way to go in terms of monetizing our minerals and finding a way to leverage it, to reduce the level of debt that the country has and move into equity. It has been done, and therefore the concerns that were raised, we should be able to address them and move forward, but not to jettison it.
So that is the finance minister today at the inauguration of the new board. Well, the chief executive officer of the Mineral Investment Fund. There's a new chief executive officer who's also a member of the board. He's been laying out his vision for Ejapa, and he believes he can turn Ejapa around to a point where it can even be a force, an international force, in investing in extractives and minerals in other countries on the continent. Listen to Ernest Nana Yaukrante.
You should imagine a full Ghanaian-owned company listed out there, majority owned by Ghana, that is able to claw back shareholding in the likes of Newmont, Anglo Gold, Ashanti, etc. Currently, we have about just 10% carried interest in most of these global mining firms. And if you have a company that we own that is able to claw back some of these shares, I think we'll be sitting pretty over a period of time. Let's imagine a Ghanaian company that is able to, let's say, even just buy 2.5% in De Beers in Botswana. You know, we know that diamonds is the foundation of the Botswanan economy. These are things that sometimes there's a lot of noise without really getting into the substance of the transaction. So just a bit of clarity: Ejapa is fully Ghanaian. Ejapa is not going to have any impact on our debt situation. It's not going to have any impact on the exchequer. It's a fully Ghanaian-owned company for which we are selling down some shares, like you have MTN selling shares in Ghana. We are 51% at least majority shareholder. We expect that when it is done, even if the initial IPO brings it to, let's say, 1 billion, we expect that based on history, you know, it could end up in 5 years' time becoming a company that is valued at, let's say, 5 billion. You know, these are things that I think we should be having discussions about. I think these are exciting times. I call it Ghana has a rendezvous with destiny, you know, with a Japan myth.
Thankfully, I've just been joined by the chief executive officer, of course, the new chief executive officer of the Mineral Incomes Investment Fund. The board was just inaugurated. He's a member of the board himself. He's in the person of Ernest Nana Yaukrante. Mr. Krante, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans, and thank you for taking my call. Just a point of correction. The name is Edward Nana Yaukrante, not
Edward.
Ernest.
Edward, thank you very much for that. Let me start by asking what the status of the Japa deal is as we speak.
Well, even as you're very well aware, the transaction, as was introduced last year, went through quite a bit of ups and downs. We had issues raised by the CSOs. We had issues raised by the opposition in Parliament. I think it is important that going down to the basics, it is clear that there's actually general consensus for the need for such an SPV, which is captured in the Act 978 of the Mineral Income Investment Fund. So the broad consensus should be indicated or underlined. I think we should all agree to the fact that the CSOs had major issues which should be accommodated. The opposition also had some clarifications which had to be sorted out. The transaction could have passed. I think it did pass through Parliament. But the president, in his wisdom, with all the issues that came up, said that, guys, let's take a second look at this with open palms. Let's look at all the issues that have been raised, and let's get the architecture redone. That is being done. We're waiting for the opinion of the Attorney General, and then we move on with the Japa. So I believe perhaps not perhaps, but with time, we will announce the full restructuring, or as some media houses have defined it, repackaging of Ejapa. But the general consensus is that this is a good thing for Ghana. MIF is a good thing for Ghana. We just need to make sure that things are properly clarified, there's transparency, and we move on. But it's important that we all acknowledge the fact that this structure is a fantastic opportunity. And that is why this morning I called it a rendezvous with destiny. Because look, the royalty, the biggest royalty company in the world, I think, is based in Canada. And they have concessions of about 347 or so, and only 17 of them are producing. But this is a company that is churning out billions, and that goes back into the Canadian economy. We have situations where global mining companies come into Ghana based on concessions alone, be able to raise billions and get their mines developed. But we take a paltry 10% carried interest. The setup of MIF and the setup of Ejapa is to redefine that kind of structure. It is to go away, or to get away from this old way of doing things where we get happy with 10%, we get some royalties, we deploy about 20% of our income into an MDF, Mineral Development Fund, to help with community development, and that's it. I think as a rendezvous with destiny, this is like, okay, well, this is the moment where we're looking at what I would call maybe our manifest destiny when it comes to mining or comes to the mineral sector.
I see.
And we need to be ambitious about this. We need to look at the possibility of even using Ejapa as a conduit to claw back shareholding for Anglo Gold, maybe from 10% to 5% and then to 20%. Can we look at the possibility of Ejapa as a vehicle to even buy shares in other countries? And then we will share with you. For what I'm saying, I'm sharing the ambitions,
going forward,
possibilities, the infinite possibilities that comes with such a structure.
Okay.
The possibilities that comes with even the setup of MIF for the small scale sector in Ghana. We are looking at the possibility of having what I call a mineral incubation strategy, where we can even aggregate small scale miners with good recoverable proven reserves, turn them into a body corporate, invest equity capital into it, turn them into a mid-tier company with, let's say, valuation of, let's say, 50, 100 million. These are all possibilities.
Let's go through a few of the I guess key things that you have to take off. Once the Attorney General is done, this is certainly going to go back to Parliament, would it?
Pardon me, could you repeat that?
Once the Attorney General is done, this will certainly go back to Parliament.
I believe it will. We'll I just want to wait for the opinion, but definitely it has to go back to Parliament.
Will this still be in the current repackaged form as is being considered? Is there the thinking still that it will be registered offshore?
Yes, we will be registered offshore. Ejapa will be registered offshore and will be listed on the London Stock Exchange. That's the intention, and the Ghana Stock Exchange.
But the key concern was the tax haven concept. Will it be still where it was previously proposed? Yes,
and it's important that we understand the concept of tax haven. I think the whole idea or concept of tax haven, with the issues which you are well aware of, the Panama Papers, etc., that dominated the news, with people abusing tax haven, seems to have blurred the idea of a tax haven. Let's go down to basics. First, tax havens are not illegal. Two, yes, true, people sometimes use tax havens to set up shadow companies. When it comes to setting up there and listing on the LSE. In fact, it is easier to have issues surrounding your operations in London than in Jersey. And that's why you have about 70 top companies in the world, Hello, which is listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange as well, and Vodafone, all having offices in Jersey. So let's disabuse our minds that Jersey, the tax haven, is an illegal contraption for which we are trying to hide something. No, we're doing that for certain advantages. When a JPA is listed, what we are trying to is to provide incentives to the investor, and that could be you, that could be me, Ghanaians everywhere, foreigners, etc. That when your dividends are paid, you're not going to pay tax on those dividends. There are not going to be any capital gains tax, etc. And that's an incentive, and that is the reason why that's the reason why we are setting it up in Jersey and listing on the LSE. Jersey is part of the United Kingdom. So it is important that we take our time and not, if tax havens are illegal, you can imagine the United Kingdom regulators, with all their stringent regulations, will not allow us to establish in Jersey and list on the LSE. It goes through quite a laborious process, and every single thing is checked. Like I mentioned, and again, I pray that your team can research on that. It is more stringent to establish an office in Jersey than in London.
Considering that the Jersey registration of the JPA royalties vehicle was one of the central issues that civil society and opposition were opposed to, how do you plan crossing that hurdle? A lot of them will listen to you and say, but nothing substantively has changed about the JPA that they rejected and the one that you're repackaging.
I think first, just to start from the last bit of your question, I think Jersey was not the only issue.
It wasn't the only, but it was the central one.
Yeah, it was one of the, and I believe we will have conversations on that. We will definitely have conversations with the CSOs. Maybe the explanation at the time wasn't too clear, but we'll definitely have conversations. I don't think it is a major hurdle at all. It shouldn't be a hurdle at all. And I believe when it's clarified, the CSOs and Ghanaians and others who had issues with Jersey will be happy with it. I don't want to make the issue of Jersey.
And let me ask you then some other issue then. Will the 1 billion valuation still be maintained, or you are changing it? And what is the basis for this later?
I don't think a valuation was really provided per se. So I think I'll leave that for now. Let's see what the AG comes up with. We'll have the conversations again, and we'll work on listing this very important company that belongs to Ghana. I don't want even to call it SPV. This is a very important company that belongs to Ghana through the Mineral Income Investment Fund. So I really would not want to go into details now. These are early days, but this is just to project the fact that this will be a very good opportunity for Ghana.
And very finally, what timelines are you looking at for it to come back to Parliament? Parliament resuming a couple of weeks from now.
Okay, I'm not in a position to give the timelines at the moment, but I'll definitely let your team know when that comes to my table.
I am grateful, Edward, for your time here on Top Story.
Pleasure is all mine.
That's the new Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Income Investment Fund. It is Nanayao Edward Nanayao Cranting. Of course, heads the fund and taxed with the sole objective of making sure that the JPA goes over the line. You've heard his thoughts. I want to bring in the spokesperson for the Minority on Finance, Kaisala Toforse. He's listening to the repackaged JPA. Some of the key highlights have come to bear. They want to put in a position where it will go international, invest internationally, but centrally, we've got to know that it will still be registered offshore. Jersey is still the place. Mr. Atoforsen, you've heard the new chief executive. Your reaction?
Evans, listening to the new chief executive,
I'm really worried than before. I say this because I would have thought that the government is going to repackage Ejapa in such a way that is going to be acceptable by us, particularly the minority and the civil society. But unfortunately, listening to him, nothing probably may have changed. So I want to put on record that the NDC minority and then the NDC party
hello, Mr. Fossing. Okay, we're having a challenge with both lines. I'm going to get him to be called back pretty quickly for me. Case Lato Fossing is a minority spokesperson on finance. Will join us very shortly on this. So a few things you're learning about the repackaged Ejapa, which the Attorney General is still actually currently considering. One of the central issues to learn tonight is that the new package, the repackaged Ejapa, will still be registered offshore. It will still be in Jersey, which was a key issue of contention for the civil society groups. We will still have Ejapa, as has been explained in its previous form. Now, the vision of the new administration that has been tasked with the job of getting over the line, say they want to be a bit more ambitious than before. They want to make sure Ejapa is in a place where it can invest internationally, and they believe they can this time swing the pendulum in terms of changing the minds of the CSOs and their position on it. They want to explain a bit more. They believe that there's a lot to explain when it comes to the registration component. The question of valuation is still open. It was another key issue that the minority and the civil society organizations were opposed to. He says, well, that's an issue that will be decided later on. There's so much to get through for you, but we're learning a bit more about this repackaged Ejapa deal, which is going to go to Parliament pretty shortly. Top story shortly. We're going to be hearing from the case Lato Fossing, who was listening in. We'll also speak to the civil society rep, Kojopoku, who is an analyst in the energy sector. What do you make of this yourself? You've heard a bit of what the repackaged Ejapa will look like. Send me a WhatsApp, 055-1111-1997.
Hey, Charlie. My network is really killing me. I have to pay my uncle's workers via mobile money, but the charges alone, it's about 380 cedis.
Hey, charges alone just to send money? That's $10 of cement already, my guy. Listen, bro, you can save money on charges if you move to Vodafone Cash now.
Vodafone Cash? But my network is...
Hey, sending